Hello, welcome to the stream, you guys. Let me just fix myself here. We're just gonna continue what we've done yesterday. So we're basically at uh, we're going to be inking this. So let's just lower this opacity. It's more like doing some cleanup. So yeah, it's a mix of cleanup and line art. So nothing too exciting today. We're just gonna be basically just cleaning this up so it doesn't look all that sketchy or rough looking. There's like a function in Clip Studio Paint where you can actually remove the dust automatically. Like for example, you can see that this sketch is very dusty. It has dust all over the place. And Clip Studio has a function that basically removes that dust. But at the same time, it kind of removes, you know, actual lines that you don't want to be removed. So it's not too reliable. I mean, you can use that function, but at this point, I'd rather just redraw the whole thing. Since some of the images are already blurry on the sketch. And redrawing it is just much more optimal, I guess. Hello you guys. I no longer can subscribe. They removed Prime membership. Oh, that sucks. But y'all don't need to do it and stuff. You can just watch for free. But welcome. But I do appreciate the support. I still don't know how those stuff works though. I'm still not that familiar with Twitch. I should also kind of try to take it easy. Usually line art is like one of those stages that really strains my hand. So I need to be like a little gentle and not press or apply too much pressure on my hand. But at the same time, I just couldn't achieve like the actual line width that I want if I'm, not applying any pressure. I mean, let me actually try to where was it? I want to like edit the pen pressure here, but I couldn't remember where I can do that. Oh, here it is. There we go. I adjusted a bit, so hopefully this would be better. Oh, there we go. Should have done that earlier. There we go. I'm actually not applying too much pressure now, so this is much more better. I can finally not strain my hand. Well, I have to work super early tomorrow, but I wanted to stop by and say hello to everyone. Aw, that sucks. But thank you for coming. I still cannot believe how you made Rolf look so cool. Have a great rest of the stream. Yeah, thanks for coming by. And then again, Rolf is my favorite, and then character. My favorite was the guy who has the hat. And he always ride like a bicycle, I think. Definitely, I think he was a jerk and a bully there. Couldn't remember that much anymore. I think my pen pressure is a bit overtuned, but honestly, this is much more better. I can always edit it. This is worse. Let me just keep adjusting it. Kevin? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that's his name. Damn, it's afternoon here. Do you use a macro pad? What's a macro pad? Well, I'm guessing small. Oh, you. One of those, like, shortcut keys? I don't. I only use my keyboard. Regular keyboard is, like, much more better for me, I guess. I like pressing keyboards, okay? I don't think I would like using remotes and all that stuff. But overall, I do use shortcut keys. It's much more better. And much more faster. It's one of those little things that you can you can do just to make your drawing process a little more smoother and faster. It's not as important, but it is like a significant difference. Or there's a significant difference that I can make. Kevin does act like a jerk, but he does have a good reason because Eds keep on trying to scam him off his quarters and jawbreakers. Yeah, that's true though. Kinda justified. But yeah, I always just liked him because he looked like the coolest to me for me. I don't remember that much anymore though when it comes to Ed and Eddie. But I think I used to love it. I used to like really old cartoons. A lot of it has to do with nostalgia, but come on. I mean, even in Ben 10, like, my favorite character is also Kevin. And he is actually a jerk there. Well, depending on like what season or arc. Oh yeah, I was like watching some uh Leonardo da Vinci vids, kind of like those trivia and science kind of YouTube vids. And I think I like learned a term there where on how he like on what technique he uses when it comes to painting. And I actually kind of want to try that out. And that technique I'm referring to is like it doesn't use lines or outlines or any sort of hard edges. It just mainly uses like really soft edges, like literally kind of blurry images, low key, but it's still clear though, and I kind of want to try that out. No, no outlines. How does it paint? I forgot the term that it's called. It starts with the letter S. Leonardo da Vinci painting style or technique. No, that's when it comes to lighting though. I couldn't find it. Sfumato, there we go. But yeah, that's like a basic explanation for it. He basically uses no hard edges at all. And only uses soft. I mean, you probably already see that technique to some like artists out there, since it is quite a common like technique, anyways. But I couldn't try it out because painting just takes up so much time, especially when I'm not used to it all that much. Man, animal bones always like looks confusing. Unless you have like some sort of knowledge when it comes to the actual human skull, you can base it off there, but at the same time, it's a tad bit hard because almost all of the parts are kind of stretched in a way that barely recognizes on what we're used to, because initially what we study is like the human figure. And learning the anatomy of animals is like another thing. You're gonna struggle with animal like anatomy and such if you're like not familiar with the human one. Or it could be the latter. You might probably start it off with like learning the anatomy of animals, but you probably tried out human after that. It's all in the manner of like trying to improvise and trying to see what relates or not. Either way, it's going to be hard and complicated. This is not an accurate skull. I have to improvise. Like this eye holes right here is like much more further onto the sides. Oh yeah, I don't think I mentioned this, but there's some changes on the design. But it's only mainly the skull part. Nothing more. Am I using like... thought I was using like the wrong paint bucket tool. Oh yeah, I haven't drank some coffee. No wonder I feel sleepy. It's always like this type of hour. It's currently like 2 p.m. So like around this hour I always just get so sleepy. Man, I kept yawning. There we go. It's looking clean. Oh yeah, when like doing line art, you can also like it's like the perfect time to like add in the details of what you don't initially have on the sketch. But that's quite a risky move to me. Especially if you like sketch really roughly. Oh yeah, by the way, you actually helped me out yesterday. Yesterday I lost my wallet and I actually panicked, stressed out over losing it all day. Since it had my $200 that I was going to deposit and many other important stuff like Social Security, driver license. And then when your stream started, I calmed down and my stress went all the way down, which allowed me to rethink what happened and find my wallet. Nice. I'm glad I could help. Not panicking actually works. But it's understandable. Even I would panic. I mean, I remember in senior high school, like, I think I was at a Jeep at then, back then. And here's the thing. I think like, I have like 20 pesos. How much is that in US dollars? So I basically have 20 pesos. So that's like 35 cents. And I had it on my pocket. So I think I dropped it because it wasn't in my wallet. It was only in my pocket. So when I pull out my wallet, it probably got dropped off somewhere. And I remember being really sad and disappointed by what happened. I can't believe I lost 30 cents at that. And I low-key cried. And I know it's kind of like, what the heck, it was like only 30 cents, calm down. But at the same time, the reason why I was so over dramatic is because it takes 30 cents to ride like a Jeep. We ride Jeeps. I don't ride the bus. As a means for transportation. That's why I was really sad that day. And of course, it's just something I just laugh about it. But yeah, that happened. Me crying about losing 30 cents. And man, what looking back at it, s- going to school was really expensive. Like, just by transportation alone, half of my, like, half of the money that I got, or the budget I got, is already cut in half just by transportation. And the rest is like my lunch money or for food. And that is like barely enough. Because, like, food kind of also costs around half of my budget. So, yeah, damn, it was expensive. But at the same time, I can't do anything about it. The school was really far from my home. It's in a different city, that's why. It's like 2 cities apart. And I kept dreading about it. Every time, like, I go to school. I'm like, damn, I lived like this. And it was like one of the phase I have in my life where I'm just like, I'm not drawing or I'm not an artist as a main thing. I was more like a student. I want to be more like, that type of person. But I actually just do enjoy learning and, what do you call that? Just being a student or a studious person. but it only like lasted like 11th grade. After that, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to my lazy ways, because most of our teachers are really cool back at 11th grade. Like they're really good. I mean, they give like one teacher was like giving out really terrible grades, but at the same time, she's actually just following the standards, so I really couldn't blame her. And it was general chemistry, and I just love how like every student is like crying about that subject, because one, it's chemistry. It's like fucking one of the hardest subjects that we have, and they keep crying because it's so unfair. Because we're like handling calculus and chemistry, while other sections and other strands were like only dealing about literature and shit like that. And again, there was one time like two of my classmates like cried because no one passed like the quiz. It wasn't even an exam. It was just a quiz. But no one really passes the exam either. I only got lucky. But that, after the year, like, of course, there's like new teachers, new subjects. Everything got boring. It wasn't as exciting anymore and challenging. I mean, it was challenging, but it wasn't challenging to the point that it's like, that it was satisfying to like attain or anything. And even most of like uh our teachers there were like realizing that we have no motivation anymore. And they dead ass can tell. What the, how much money does your school lunch even cost? Let me convert. It's around 50 pesos to like 100 pesos, and probably higher than that. Like I can't even afford McDonald's. I can't even afford a McDonald's meal. That's how bad it is. Like half of my money is already gone from transportation. It's almost a dollar. It's almost a dollar. So around $2. That may sound cheap for you guys, but here that's already kind of like expensive for me. I only like have $4. I only have $4 a day as my budget, and half of it is already gone from transportation. And transportation is like fucking brutal, especially in like around almost summer days. Like the heat is just gnarly. Oh, and I think I like watched a clip of Michael Reeves and Lily. I think they're streamers, right? And I think they visited the Philippines. Even they are complaining about the weather. I'm telling you guys, the weather here is like atrocious. $2. We pay $5 for the crappiest burgers and pizza in the world. We don't even have pizza and burgers in like the school canteen. So I would much rather like spend my money on soda, because the food there is like it's fine, I think, But at the same time, I don't want to risk it because I know how sketchy school canteens, especially on Catholic schools, like I know how sketchy they can be in, or they can be. They're always sus, alright? That's why I would rather not risk that. I'd rather drink soda. Man, my diet was also the worst back then. We only get bread for like, I think it's 10 cents or something. Or 20. Or 20 cents. I mean, it's cheaper than going to the mall. But at the same time, I really, really find it sus. The food there is sus. I only like try to eat one meal that is like always available there, and it's called sisig. And sisig is basically like a Filipino cuisine that it's made out of pork, so chopped up uh, pork, kind of like sizzling pork, yeah, basically. And that's like the only cuisine or food that I eat there. Anything else but that food, I would not eat it. I mean, there was one time that when I bought down a sizzling pork, it wasn't good. It was all fats and shit, and it was cold. That's why I don't like I don't like buying shit at canteens, man. The food is always inconsistent. It's always like a hit or miss. Of course, you want to buy Coke. Yeah. Actually, it wasn't Coke. I think it was a different brand. I think it was Pepsi. I think that was the only time I'm like forced to drink Pepsi. I didn't mind it though. Soda is soda, and I would drink that shit. But yeah, I do not trust like canteens from like Catholic schools. They would always be really sus because like in my own Catholic school and the canteen there is just ugh. Even like other even like my classmates from other schools, they're also like Catholic schools. Catholic schools are really common here. Like even if you're not attending to a Catholic school, they still treat you as Catholic. Like they would ask you to lead a prayer. And it's so like man, I remember one professor was like asking to lead a prayer, and I think the guy that he just like asked to pray has a different religion, so that was really fucking awkward. Of course he like pretended to, he at least prayed to what they expected to they expected to do. Because then we just open up that topic and really provoke you unnecessarily. Like it was a public school. It wasn't even private. Because usually Catholic schools are like private schools, which is kind of weird. And it always sucks. The only consistent good school lunch that I can remember is the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Yeah, you can't go wrong with sandwiches. Even sandwiches in our school was actually consistent. But we don't. Here's the thing about like in our culture, it's not exactly counted as a meal or a lunch if you're not if you're not eating rice or you don't have rice along with what you're eating. They don't consider it as lunch. For example, you eat a sandwich for lunch. They don't consider it as lunch. They consider it as a snack. Even if you eat and treat it like a lunch, they only treat it as such when you eat rice along with it. Soda is soda. I will always drink soda. 10 years later, dies from kidney stones and rotten teeth. But nah, my teeth are actually fine for some reason. Like again, I really do not understand why I'm still like particularly okay. Because I always, visit the dentist regularly, and they just say teeth my teeth are like fine. So there's nothing wrong with that department. And also when I drink like soda, I make sure to like drink a lot of water because I really get thirsty after it. And I do not like the sugar like, you know, sitting on my mouth. Really? Even Koreans don't eat rice every meal. Exactly. But we're Filipinos, so rice is like what determines a meal. But there's probably other people that that don't eat rice all the time. It's just because of like I live in a province, so it's quite the norm here. But in all honesty, Catholic schools are kind of funny, or funny at least, because they always have the craziest shit story ever that is occurring. You get horror stories, disgusting stories, and really just sheesh. But in all honesty, I would rather go anywhere else. Like even now, even in like uh wanting to like go to college or something, I would rather go to like a foreign country to like study instead of here. It's just much more preferable and better that way. I should really keep in track on where am I when it comes to inking. So in that way I don't forget like parts that I need to ink. Because that does happen. And it sucks. I just realized that you named this Shepherd. I mean, that's his style, right? It's almost low-key like a swear word. But that's just probably me. Like a son of a bitch or something. Or I probably just heard of that phrase way too much. I think I haven't been like doing some sort of coloring stream. I think this would be nice to like do a stream for that. Because I wasn't able to stream some of like some commissions or some illustrations for coloring. There's probably not really a route here, but I think there's actually a vein here. And it's like the most dangerous part because it's really close to like, or a fatal part for the heart. Here on the thigh. Man, studying anatomy, the thing about studying anatomy, you're low-key studying biology, or high-key. But then again, of course you don't need to like learn the terminologies for it. But at the same time, you're kind of like studying biology. Since you're still like trying to memorize the parts that are present. But thank God I'm a nerd. Oh yeah, here's a funny fact. If you are a Korean in my generation that grew up in my area, 90% of the time we actually went to the same preschool that only accepts Korean kids. But it's actually a horror story since the preschool is known among us Koreans as the worst preschool of all time. The punishments is so terrible for making us wear diapers, or like my little brother being sent to a middle school and left in the hallway for 2 hours. The Brazil is known as a small world. Man, that kind of reminds me back then. I think there was a time. What grade am I? I was like in first grade, elementary school. Was it first grade? I couldn't remember. But I basically started a fight with this guy. I think he's also my friend back then, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know, I was too autistic, I guess. But then I just started fighting with him, like throwing fists at him. Like the only girl that is like fucking throwing fists with a guy. And after that, it was like early in the morning too. it was like before flag ceremony, because we usually have like flag ceremonies where we like fall in line and shit. Yeah, it was before the flag ceremony. We started beating the shit out of each other, and then after that, we were like in the crowded place, right? We were crowded also by our other classmates that were like trying to trying to make us stop fighting each other. I don't even remember why we fighted. I was just dead ass beating, trying to beat the shit out of the guy. I think I was like a fucking asshole as a kid. With all this shit I'll be doing. But after that, the teacher basically make us sit apart. There's like a chair. I sit there, and there's like a meter away from another chair, and he sits there. And then it was already time for like flag ceremony, so they basically didn't make us fall in line, but they made us sit instead inside. And mind you, it is much more comfortable to like sit inside and not join the flag ceremony, because you are sitting on the fucking sun, like you're standing, falling in line, and you're standing in like in the morning sun, like right in front of the morning sun, and that shit is fucking hot. It's not cold. So we're in a much more comfortable spot, of course, for some reason. And I think that was the punishment for us for beating the shit out of each other. We weren't completely injured, by the way. We just started fighting. And then after the flag ceremony is done, we basically just got called, and then since it wasn't even our own room, so they called us, and that's basically it. We just make up. And we were like, and we were cool again. Again, I don't fucking remember why we fought, but I think it was probably me who started that fight. But yeah, that was the punishment. We were just they just made us sit us comfortably. I mean, there are punishments that are really, really grueling. But that's like really, really way back then at elementary school, because it's not allowed anymore. You can get arrested for that shit. You should embrace that. The fish shark looks like Kismet starting to give it the same color. I actually do not know. I think the fish is color blue, I think. Oh no, it's orange. It's actually not blue. This is Kim's met enemy backstory and became friends with the classmate you've been. I'm actually friends with that kid, but back then. But right now, not anymore. I don't know him that much. And here's the thing, elementary school friends are like, I don't necessarily call them friends, nor treat them as one. I only treat everyone, when I was a kid, I only treat everyone as a playmate. Nothing more, nothing less. And again, I was like kind of autistic. Like, I really do not understand how relationships work as a kid. All I know is like, either you want to play with me or not. It's either you vibe or don't. That's basically it. That's how my logic prevails as a kid. Anyways, Cal, welcome. That sort of reminds me of being a damn jackass as an elementary school kid. I hated myself as an elementary and middle school kid. We can all relate to that. But yeah, I don't know why was I kind of an asshole back then. Like, I remember punching a guy, mainly because he was so fucking annoying. Like, he was just too close to me, and he's like keep blabbering shit. Like, hey, do this. Because I think I was like, given the responsibility on like to list down the names of those who are noisy in the class because the teacher wasn't there. So of course I punched him with no consequences. But yeah, I was a really feisty kid. Like, deadass gave zero damn shits. But I don't think that's like a cool thing to do. Of course. I'm gonna fill this side with blanks or shadows instead. Because I don't want to keep drawing shit. I don't want to keep drawing scales all too much. Middle school was also kind of dramatic. Not to mention you're like going through puberty and shit. That's another shit that you need to go through. But it wasn't all too bad for me. Actually, it was shit. Let's not pretend. Especially the first few years, it was really shitty. I hate the fact that I punched an autistic kid in the liver because he kept following me in middle school. Oh my god. That's like a sin right there. Caught in 4K. But yeah, we have like we have done like the stupidest shit when we were young. I mean, stupid shit also occurred at that time and age. To me also. Like there was just one time I was like going out of our classroom because it was recess. And like everyone was playing outside. So I wanted to join also. And then for some fucking reason, after I got out of the door and got into the court, I like passed out. That's it. No explanation. Point blank. And all I can remember by then is like I was just being carried to the clinic room. I still don't know why I passed out. Then again, I punched a lot of people in the liver when I was in middle school. What the heck was wrong with me? Oh yeah, there was also one guy I tried to fucking choke and strangle with. Like he was strangling me and I was strangling him back, so it was low-key us fighting. But yeah, I now looking back, I kind of got into a lot of fights. I am not flexing. Do not do this. We're like advising you to not do stupid shit like we did. But yeah, any kind of like nuisance or shit that I find annoying, even just being close to me, or like what you untied my hair or something, or you did something to me, I would just like be super angry and just like be violent or something. Either be violent or cry. That's like my two reactions. Or swear the shit out of you. That's also a thing. But it's a good thing I am not as violent anymore at like middle school. Thank God. But holy shit, 10th grade was like the room was just filled with sadists. People have this like rubber band. And usually this rubber band is like what we use for like tying our hair. It's a rubber band and it's like, you know, a thin plastic. It wasn't that rubber bands, those regular rubber bands. It was a plastic one. And people flick that shit. Like, they flick it on any parts of our body. Like, everyone was doing it. So every time, like, it's around 4 o'clock where it's like school is almost over, we have marks. These red ass marks. All over our arm and shit. And there's also like a friend of mine also that like bits the shit out of me. And I got a bruise because of it. Fucking hell. Like, I didn't mind that shit because I was like, I really didn't give a fuck back then in middle school, because I was more like, I just want to go home. That was all in my head. That's everything that's like occurring to my head. I just want to go home. That's it. Checking out the full body again if there's anything I missed. Are you secretly a character from Tokyo Revengers? Nah, my life was kinda boring. Like, back in elementary, I'm just like known as the girl that can draw. And that's basically it. And then I got bored by, you know, just only drawing that then. And kind of wanted to prove everyone that I can be a smartass. And I did. I became high honors. Because I kind of, yeah, I think I only like wanted to have some sort of bragging rights because of it. But also, mainly because I'm just bored. And I do enjoy kind of learning about science and shit, anyways. So why not? But I don't enjoy all subjects. So some subjects are just Jesus. Why do we need to learn Zumba for the fifth fucking time? Physical education is always humiliation. You will find no dignity and honor. But yeah, I guess that's reasonably anime kind of plotty. As me being a smartass. Because I wasn't really that top of the class. I was like one of the failing students back then. Not really that failing, but not doing very good. That's for sure. Like for fuck's sake, I know how to read, but I don't do it. But unfortunately, I was like got really bored at drawing, so I stopped. Not really exactly stopped. Only like just didn't become my main thing anymore. And just trying new things out. Oops. Used the fill bucket too way too early. Oh darn, Rob's fish is yellow instead of dark blue. Yeah, it was unfortunate. We couldn't make it blue. But I might put that in a separate layer and try to check out other colors if it looks nice or not. many minutes has it been? Oh, it's been 1 hour. Only finished like full body. I'm gonna try to like pick up the pace here. Mithrid, welcome. Or was it Mithrid's? Mithrid's art. It looks like a Monster Hunter. A little. Oh, it does. I was actually trying to... These are like my reference. I think these are from Castlevania. I'm not sure actually. Kind of like Castlevania. But it kind of does. Also fit in that same. But nah, it's like a drawing of Rolf. Here, here he is, converted. Hmm. kind of getting confused with the angle here. This is a thing also, like, I really don't, don't try to, like, I don't really try so hard to, like, try to be as accurate as possible. It's kind of a bad thing when it comes to animation, because you need to, like, know how to draw the characters in different angles, so in that way you know how to animate them. But I kind of always bullshit my way to, like, to make it seem like, as long as it looks good or it looks kind of right, that's already enough for me. It doesn't, like, I don't strive for, like, accuracy or anything like that. As long as it looks good, it looks good. It's good enough. Even with the spikes, I'm not very good with, like, trying to stick to their angle. Did you ever did inking in traditional before you switch permanently to digital? When I sketch, I use the pen straight out. So does that count as inking? Like, since again, we don't usually use pencil at school. We just use pens primarily to write with. So I also use pens like straight up to draw. But yeah, there are occasions where I like try to ink like a pencil drawing, but it's so meticulous. Not meticulous, more tedious work to be honest, but I think that's just the same thing. And again, I really do not like redrawing shit. I mean, even like when it comes to like personal drawings, personal illustrations of mine, I don't do line art. I just make sure the sketch looks clean enough to make it seem like it's the line art. So that's what I usually do. And the drawings make with like using pen straight out or at the very beginning, I also try to make sure it's clean, so it kind of helps. Developing that skill kind of helps to be more mindful to what you're drawing, and it just helps develop some sort of like muscle memory and all that. Oh yeah, I think it was also like the time I was like a huge Kim Jong-il fangirl, so I kept drawing with a pen instead. And it wasn't even like illustrating properly. It was just me doodling and everything. And drawing whatever I want. I find drawing with a pen without an outline impossible. Like a guideline, it's not actually impossible. It really just takes practice. Like when I'm drawing with a pen, I kind of it's either I rely on muscle memory and just let my hand do whatever, or I could try to like picture or imagine the guidelines in my head, or just have like the actual image in the head instead. It could be either of the two. It's more relying onto your muscle memory instead of your, and you have to draw really slow because in sketching you're drawing really fast, much more significantly fast. You have to draw a tad bit slower, like actually think about the lines or where you're gonna put the lines. Actually think about it. Take the time to think about it. And that's how it usually differs. What made you get out of being the Kim Jong-il fangirl moment? It's just not the thing that I'm not interested on anymore. Like there are other artworks or art style that I'm much more interested on. Because here's the thing about Kim Jong-il's style. Others would probably disagree, but in actuality, most of his drawings are like kind of sketches and doodles. Like, there's only like a few snippets of him like actually making an illustration where there's colors and actually rendered. And it's just a style that I'm not interested anymore because I already know how to do it. So, and you really wouldn't grow if you like only stick to it for the rest of your life. Like, there's still more out there that I want to try out, so and kind of like find my own thing. And his style is just not what I enjoy anymore. Because back then I really draw just like him. Like, I really try to imitate his style and all that, the way he draws and shit. And then I grew out of it. That's it. There's no dramatic explanation, I guess. It's usually just you know, what happens through time. It just changes that way. Preferences changes most of the time. Let's see my tools. And so I can put the shadows. I think another reason also is probably me transitioning to like using digital art or doing digital art as as my medium and shit. Because he usually draw like traditionally, right? And I don't do traditional stuff anymore, unfortunately. But I do stand by with like his mindset when it comes to drawing. He just draw whatever he likes and what it seems fun to him. I used to want to draw just like him as well, but I actually like being rough and loose instead. His style is actually loose because remember the way he grip his pen is really loose. The way he grip his pen is like a painter. Like for example, he's like holding the middle of the pen, so the tip and like the actual grip that you're supposed to grip, actual place that you're supposed to grip, is like much more further back. Yeah, you can tell like I dead ass studied this guy. That's how he hold this pen. That's why his the behavior of the pen is much more loose. And it actually helps because there's no pressure at all. And he only like applies pressure when it comes to like actually filling in something with ink. Like for example, this part, he would just press it all down. But yeah, his style is not rough, but it is loose actually. I can probably still try to like draw like him, but I don't know. I just wasn't as interested anymore for some reason. Unfortunately, that phase has died down. But don't get me wrong, I learned a lot from him. I feel like his process is too accurate, but he is still top tier, so. Yeah. I mean, most of his stuff is improvised, right? Like, what I meant was, for example, when he's like doing complicated angles, like the fish islands, of course, one is like, he does this all the time, so he's bound to be used to it and know, like, is already familiar with, like, how the human body would be drawn in that certain perspective. So I think the one thing I cannot like imitate from him is like drawing from, he like starts off with like different parts. He can start off with different parts of the body. But to me, I got really really used to like drawing the head first or trying to find the head first. So that took me a while to like, master or at least learn. And it's not about accuracy. It's more about like trying to convince the viewer that this angle is like is in that certain way basically. Like for example, some of my drawings in like crazy perspective, they're not bound to be accurate, but it seems to like represent in that certain angle mainly because of like me. I strive to make it look more convincing, at least instead of accurate. I mean, it has some sort of accuracy, but it's really a rough estimate instead of accurate or precise. It's more about convincing the viewer. You don't have to be really accurate. You just have to convince them that this like figure is going in that certain way. And dude was like drawing all the time, so like he probably draws on the toilet. And I think again that grip that I was talking about really helps. Also helps for you from drawing a lot of shit because again you're not using a lot of pressure. So you're like not really exactly straining your hand. So in that way, you can also draw a lot of shit. But I unfortunately is not. I'm more interested in other styles. I think that's a much more better way to praise it. I'm just much more interested to other things. I think that I'm trying to say is that his poses feel static compared to like Yusuke Murata that has a lot of movement in their drawings. Actually, yeah. Since he is like usually drawing from basing out of his visual library. And his visual library, from what I remember, is mostly observations of like other people. So he usually doesn't do that much of like, what do you call this? Flashy and kind of like full of motion, something. I forgot the term. What was it called? Not climax or climatic, but it's something like that. His poses are much more grounded, I guess, much more reserved. And again, he doesn't really exaggerate all that much in terms of like when it comes to the sizing. Like for example, he doesn't do this type of poses. And if he does do this like exact pose, for example, this half body right here, he would probably not exaggerate the size of this arm. He would probably keep it like a normal size. Now that I think about it, this arm is not looking right. Okay. It's because of the hand. I need to adjust the hand. His style is more illustrative, I guess. It's much more illustrative instead of like conveying movement. And I'm using the wrong buttons. And you'll probably see that to Yusuke Murata too, because he also exaggerates size in order to like exaggerate and make sure the movement is there. And he make use of other techniques like doing this stuff. Actually, I've drawn that horribly. Or doing action lines, which can also help. Dynamic? Kinda. He exaggerates details, right? He exaggerates details, but he doesn't exaggerate like size or like kind of like the angle or proportion. No, not proportion, or gesture instead. Let's call it gesture. Because the way you probably draw this, for example, would just be normal science and trying to be accurate as much as possible, like true to its size. I mean, of course, he would still use some sort of foreshortening there, but it wouldn't be as like kind of stretching out the body. I mean, there are times that I see some of his like drawings that have like some sort of movement to them, or a certain feel of dynamic to it, but it's still pretty much grounded to being realistic. And I don't blame him. I think that's one of like the reasons or one of the aspects I took interest on him. Like the way he depicts stuff is very realistic compared to like what you see on manga. Because in manga, of course, they exaggerate shit. And seeing realistic drawings, not really realistic drawings, but drawings in like has this sort of pose that is kind of like realistic. It's kind of rare for me, I guess. Oh darn, I gotta go first. Kim's, I can't stay all the way through. Aw. But thanks for coming though. Have a good day, man. I mean, this stream is almost over. I only need to like ink 2 more shots of this character. I really want to change like my schedule when it comes to streaming, but I could not find like a perfect hour. And I'm still like waiting on my order to Ethernet adapter so I can move my laptop upstairs and have some decent internet connection, because there's no signal, there's no Wi-Fi signal upstairs, which sucks. Because I do want that privacy. My laptop's kind of lagging, what the heck. I do have like a USB hub that also has like an Ethernet port, but it doesn't work. And I'm guessing it's because Windows cannot just fucking detect this shit. Like I always have this error saying that it just cannot recognize what the fuck is just been plugged in. And I think it's because I'm using like the USB-C port on my laptop, and I don't think it likes it. So I was like forced to buy another different USB Ethernet adapter. Jesus. And it's so annoying. Would you prefer to stream early or late of your time? I actually want to like try both, so in that way I have much more time to like actually draw, because streaming kind of helps me to like, you know, actually draw shit and start something or finish something at least. Instead of me in the afternoon, because afternoon is like the hours I'm just like really sleepy and I couldn't do anything. to like easily combat that one. I wanna put this lower. I could not find my tool. It sort of holds you accountable. If you're streaming and not drawing, then people would just be like, what the fuck? Exactly. It just makes me, force myself to get to do shit. And also, usually I'm much more like active, I guess, when it comes to like morning hours. Or it used to be. But now, since my sleep schedule is around like 11 p.m. or 12 a.m., I only draw in the afternoons. And even around the afternoons, I still get sleepy. No matter what sleeping schedule I have. And afternoons are like the hours where it's like really fucking hot. So it's really not the most ideal hour for me, but it's like the only hour I can possibly stream for now. I mean, there was a time I'm like used to stream around 10 a.m. 10 a.m. here at my place. I couldn't do it anymore. Since I always take frequent breaks at the morning also. I don't know how the fuck people have energy in the morning. No energy in the morning, can't even eat. Well, I do take showers on like mornings, so I don't exactly get energized to do anything unless I take a shower for some reason. It's a habit thing, probably, and something I really just got used to. Only after I shower, that's the time I get to like get active and have the energy to do something. Because here's the thing, I take cold showers and that shit is like would wake every inch of your fucking body. It's not like I like cold showers. I hate that shit actually. But I have no choice. Because after I shower, the cold would get away, and the heat, the weather would just fuck me up. So the cold is fine, I guess, because it kind of saves me from the heat no experience later. But yeah, I only get energized once I'm like took a shower or some shit. But yeah, I cannot eat breakfast anymore. it depends on what I'm eating. If like the meal is like something that I like eating or it's my favorite food, for example, I'll probably eat breakfast. But otherwise, no, I'm not eating anything. It's not like I do anything significantly important also in the mornings. Since I wake up late now, I wake up like 8 a.m. That's already late enough for me. And once I wake up, I mean, like, brush my teeth and shit and wash my face. After that, it's either I drink coffee or nothing at all. Just drink a lot of water, basically for the whole 3 hours, because I usually take a shower after like around 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So yeah, I start the day really late. From now on. I mean, if I have a lot of things to do, I would definitely wake up much more earlier and try to min max my time. Speed running shit. But if there's nothing that much to do, or there's not a significant like amount for me to do, I would just procrastinate and just cram that shit. I only like listen to some tunes and watch it every morning from now on. Like I probably draw significantly less right now compared to a few months back then. Because I used to like animate and illustrate simultaneously, and that shit was like that was a phase of my life, which was kind of grueling. Yeah, but if someone served us that pancakes, eggs, bacon on a plate, then it's misery. I only eat bacon. That's the only thing I eat first thing in the morning. Do you prefer tea or coffee? Here's the thing. I hope you don't get offended by this, but it's probably mainly because I drank the worst tea ever. The first time I drank tea, it tasted like bitter hot water. That's it. That's my impression of tea. The Brits are probably coming for my ass, but that's I cannot tell if it was the tea that was the problem, or it's just how I understand or this is just how tea is basically like. It's my experience was basically it tasted bitter, but at the same time it only just feels like drinking water that is hot. So it doesn't taste anything to me except like drinking a bitter water. And I don't think it smells anything. It has a distinct smell or anything. I couldn't remember because it was like I was really young back then when I first started drinking it or tasted it. And the only reason I was able to drink tea is because I was on my period at that day and I was at school. So I go to the clinic to like for my cramps because my cramps are the fucking worst. Like if I have my period for the first day, boom, I just have cramps. I cannot walk, I cannot stand up, I cannot eat, I cannot do shit. And then this lady just offered me to drink tea as if that shit would do anything. Well, I guess it does because it's warm. It kind of helps. But then that's my impression of tea. I just drank it. When I drank it, I was like really confused. I'm like, huh? Huh? It just tasted bitter. Like I'm just desperately trying to find something, but no. All I have is like bitter water. And I'm sorry to all tea lovers because that is the only impression I have. And I would probably not drink any more tea because I'm much more like addicted to caffeine. I don't even enjoy coffee, by the way. Again, the only reason why I drink coffee is because the first flavor that I bought was really good, but then they changed it. And now I hated it. But I have no choice but to drink coffee because I grew dependent on it. It's miserable. But I do like the scent of coffee. Tea is just not that popular. I don't know. It's just not that popular here. Also, that's the thing. But yeah, at least coffee can taste sweet. I mean, yeah, coffee tastes bitter and shit on that. But the type of coffee I usually drink is really sweet and really creamy, or at least have some sort of cream in there. I really do not like, classic coffee that is really bitter. I like the smell of it, but the taste, nah. Iced tea is the only worthy tea. Yeah, I actually agree with that. Because there's like a few brands of iced tea that I like. But when it comes to warm and hot tea, I just do not understand. It's just bitter water. You're just drinking a bitter version of a water. With fucking leaves on it. I just cannot get into it. Man, after that, I was like, yeah, I'm not drinking tea anymore. I still drink iced tea because it was like the hot shit or the good shit that was like selling in our canteen back then. Oh, it wasn't a different line. Didn't realize. But yeah, I'm just putting my names all over the place. But yeah, that was my terrible first impressions of tea. Would I have a different opinion about it if I like, try out different brands? Because from what I know, the brand of tea that the lady gave to me is like a generic brand that is like drank by old people, drank by seniors and shit. So it really tasted bland. So I don't I wasn't really sure what the fuck I was drinking by then. I was so confused. I remember being so confused. I'm like, what the fuck am I drinking? It's like it was dead as just drinking water, but it's bitter. And I really have like mixed emotions about it. Like I don't know if I should be confused, disappointed, or underwhelmed. It was like a a mixed bag of all. Anyways, I'm gonna use this tool right now where I make the lines thicker. An automatic one. It This tool is not very good with spikes, by the way. I have to like do this. I mean, it's probably much more better if I just do this. Or do it manually when it comes to spiky areas. But at the same time, I don't want to apply pressure. I could just use this. I've been studying anatomy and perspective, and I know how to observe, but everything I draw is stock shit. Have you ever been there and wanted to give up? I mean, I did give up. I did give up on drawing once. And it was like the time me fully committing to be a smartass instead of like an artist. But there wasn't a time like what do you call this? If I'm like struggling somewhere, for example, like there was a time I was struggling drawing a character or drawing a face that is like in an angle where they're in the side view or the profile view. And I remember being so frustrated about it because nothing was looking right. Every drawing of it wasn't looking right. So I got so frustrated and I pulled back a bit, and yeah, I was noticing that I was getting frustrated and nothing was working no matter what I do. And since I'm not in the right mind, I wouldn't be able to see the mistakes I'm doing, like what is not working. So, what I do next is, you know, not draw and put it in. I did go back, like, the next following day. Like, the next following day, I tried to do it again. And my mood was in a much more better state, so the art also kind of changed drastically, much more better, and the way I much prefer to look. So all I needed at that time was rest. It may not be the same for you though. You either take a rest and try to not draw at all, or just draw what you are comfortable with. And then once you're in the right mind again, or in a much more relaxed state, in a calm, rational state, then you can go back and practice. Because nothing is gonna look right if you are frustrated and shit. You either stop whatever you're doing and do everything to make yourself calm down. And then once you are like in a much more calmer state, then you can go back and practice. I mean, there are times where I'm like really fucking frustrated and trying to push it. But forcing it would not, I don't think it would make a difference, to be honest. It's much more better if you just rest it down. Like all my figure and anatomy is decent, but I see it's wrong. Oh, you kind of have like in the same situation I was back then. But yeah, it is one of those days, right? Like it's nothing significantly wrong. Like you get the anatomy and structure right, but it doesn't feel right and it doesn't look right to you. Other people would just be, "Oh, it looks fine. It looks fine." But you are like, "No, no, it's not. I can see there's something wrong with this." And then probably what I would advise is just do something else or rest and try to make yourself relax for a bit. So in that way you can come back in a much more calmer state, because nothing is gonna look right at that moment. Especially when your mood is like bringing you down. I solve everything with sleep, basically. Oh, my drawings are not looking right? I'll save it for tomorrow. I'll sleep. And it works. It works for some reason. I don't know how to explain it, but it works. I guess it probably has to do with my muscles, I guess, or probably with just my hand. Being relaxed might actually help, so. But yeah, there was a time it wasn't completely me not drawing. Like I can still draw. I can still do some sort of sketches and doodles on like the back of my notebook when I was like having that phase. Having that good old student phase. But I know for sure that it was a time that I was like, yeah, drawing is not gonna be my main thing. Lizard, welcome. Exactly, it makes me want to rip my hair out. When you know what a good drawing looks like, but you're bad, then it's hard to finish a study. What am I supposed to finish a study with bad skills? Well, tough. Yeah, it is kind of tough, especially when it comes to beginners, right? Like, you do not know how, like, any sort of muscle memory, especially if you're like self-taught and shit. All you're basically only relying to what you're like watching or whatever you are studying from. And the thing about being a beginner is that they don't have the exact knowledge of what looks right and wrong. And that's pretty much normal because they are a beginner, they're just starting out. And they basically have no skill set yet when it comes to like uh, determining which one is like good or which one is bad. so they would be able to like identify where they need to improve more onto. And it's like a it's like another skill that you basically need to learn, knowing what is like what is looking right and wrong. Of course, it's much more easier if you're like drawing with a reference, but at the same time, when you're a beginner, you really cannot pinpoint the exact details of what exactly is making the drawings like look wrong per se. So because of that, because of not knowing, you're much more prone to like be much more frustrated. And being frustrated does not doesn't really give out the best results every time you're like experiencing it. So after that, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna sleep this off. Try again next time. Like, there's no point to like build up so much frustration to this, because you're just gonna be stressed out, and that's not gonna lead towards anywhere. You're just you're making yourself lose much more. But I don't think there was a time like I completely quit on studying or learning like a fundamental like uh principle when it comes to like creating artworks. There's no point to quit. You just need some rest, that's all. Just need to take a break. Kind of like a Snickers. You're not yourself when you're hungry. Grab a Snickers. It might sound bullshit when it comes to other people. Like, why take a break? Yeah, it doesn't have to do anything with drawing. All this mental shit or mental health, mental whatever shit. And in actuality, it actually does. It does affect. It does have an impact. As much as we want to deny it. Anyways, my mom cooked some hot dogs, so I'm just trying to finish this. And I have to end the stream, unfortunately. I don't want the hot dogs to get cold. Wrong color. Did you fill up a lot of sketchbooks? Yes. But most of my sketchbooks are kind of small, so they're pocket size notebooks, and I just made them. They're very cheap paper, so they're like office paper, and they're good enough for sketching. I really like that paper anyway, so I kind of finished. If I'm gonna count like the pocket notebooks only, I'm not gonna count my big sketchbooks because I don't remember where I put them. And we're not gonna count like the sketches that I made for like my notes and stuff. You know what I doodled on. But official sketchbooks, mini sketchbooks, pocket notebook sketchbooks. I made like 10 10 or 11, I'm not sure, I can't remember. I think I have one sketchbook that I don't have. I think a friend of mine got it. So yeah, that's another missing sketchbook. Getting through the phase of being bad is very tough. If you quit, then you'll just stay there. Try your best to keep going. Yeah, exactly. If you stop there, then you're nowhere else to go. You're just stuck. And yeah, people would keep asking like, what do we do to improve? What do we do? What do we do? And as much as we hate to say it, you just need to draw. You just need to keep doing it. Like even myself, even I don't like fucking drawing all the time, for fuck's sake, because it is kind of tiring. But even just like drawing bad shit or whatever, it doesn't have to look good, basically. But even with that, I still try to draw, no matter how bad it looks. I think that's one of the benefits that I get when like just drawing with a pen and then drawing on my notes. It doesn't have to look good. Like I do have like the choice to make it look good, but at the same time I don't have to. I just can do whatever. And the only thing that matters is that I draw. My thing is that I feel like I'm wasting the paper by drawing badly. Oh, that one. Try to like ignore that feeling. Do your best to do it. It's hard to. It's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, well, where else are you gonna draw? So, well, you can't draw on your head because you won't have the muscle memory for it if you just keep imagining. So yeah, that's a thing to need to take note. You can try like any type of paper. You can try to draw anywhere. Like back then, I just draw everywhere, anywhere, any type of paper. My school papers, my examinations, and everything. Draw everywhere. And I think there's also one thing that I tried to like develop back then is to not treat it very precious. Like try not to like treat the drawings really precious because there's no point. If you treat something like your whole fucking world, like if I'm like going to determine if I'm already at a spot where I'm good enough to draw, I shouldn't be able to hold on to some of my drawings all too much. Because if I have the skills to draw, or good enough to draw, have the skills to be good enough, I should be able to redraw it again. Don't take this advice now. Because this advice is kind of much more personal than like a thing that would probably benefit for the most people. It may benefit you, it may benefit none. So take this with precaution. I think it's much more better to keep your drawings because you would have a record of it. But I guess what I'm saying is not to like treat it too precious to the point that you're not gonna be able to like, you're developing this sort of mindset of like not gonna be able to draw this part or this thing ever again. But yeah, unfortunately that's all I have to say for now. I need to eat some hot dogs so and I don't want them to be cold. I unfortunately have to say goodbye now. But here's our line art. Here's our finished line art. We get to like finish around almost 3 hours. 2.5 hours. Oh, it's not my dinner. It's just a snack. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for joining me in this stream, and thank you for watching. And hope to talk to you guys real soon. Where's my goodbye stream? There we go. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.